Raj Mugul is here, Vice President of Radar at O'Reilly. I'm here at Software Architecture 2019 in New York City, and I'm here with Asanka Abeysinghe, who's VP of Architecture at WSO2. Welcome.
Hi, Roger.
And we're here to talk about your products, and specifically what's the motivation behind your new reference architecture that you've come up with?
Yeah, so I just finished my talk and then got a really good turnaround as well. So the motivation behind the cell-based architecture, Roger, like we are there in the industry for a while now, and personally I'm helping architects for more than 20 years. So we identified there's a gap in between the reference architectures available and what market is looking at. So to fill that gap, we thought of come up with a more pragmatic approach and then propose something for that works for the microservices architecture, container native architecture, as well as which can link to the legacy systems and data that we had for a while, and helping us to build different systems.
That's great. We certainly see in our own data the adoption of microservices and containers, orchestration, and all that together. So what is the kind of evolution of the enterprise architecture? I mean, like layered, segmented to this decentralized approach that you guys do?
Yeah, so that's what we are finding. So traditionally we were using layered architecture, and I think still we are using layered architecture in many systems. With the microservices coming into the picture, things are moving more towards the segmentation, but it can't optimize the microservices approach as well as how you can utilize containers, so on and so forth. So that's where we were looking for something properly fit into these technologies as well as the architecture approach. That's where the cell-based architecture we introduced by using different concepts like the cells are coming from the biological world, and we thought that's a really good way to represent the enterprise architecture. So that's what we see as the evolution, that the people are moving to more agile approach and then small teams, and how you can be purely agile and utilize these new technologies is the key thing that we see how the architecture is moving. I would say moving to the right and then helping these development teams.
Okay. How does the cell-based architecture connect to microservices? APIs, is it?
Yeah. So the fundamental of the cell-based architecture is a component, or the atomic unit of the cell-based architecture is a component. So the component can be a microservice. So a cell contains many microservices, and then the functionality exposed as API. That we call the cell gateway or the edge gateway. So it's API-centric and microservices friendly. So that way the architects and the developers, they can categorize the microservices and then have proper governance, because now you have a standard API to access this functionality, and then have the dependency management, observability, all these necessary enterprise architecture level features can be incorporated into the microservices architecture.
So what are the kind of API options? Is this like REST-based? Is there other?
Yeah, so personally I believe there are two types of APIs, push and pull. So if it is a pull API, then you can use RESTful using HTTP or gRPC. Then if it is a push API, then two types like events and streams. So you can use AMQP, MQTT, or Kafka kind of different protocols to access it. So that kind of a variety of APIs can be there to facilitate the API layer.
Depending on the application.
Exactly.
So this new architecture, something's driving it, and I think that what's driving it is the kind of digital transformation and more digital organizations. Maybe you can talk about what the impact is with using your...
Yeah, so the business impact is the digital transformation and the digital products, or the business stakeholders, they are pushing the technical teams to provide more and more digital experience for their end users. So that's where the rapid application development, shorter development life cycle coming into the picture. So to facilitate that, having a proper decentralized architecture helps, so the development teams can be more productive and then provide and release whatever the business is expecting in a short time period. So that's why it connects to the digital transformation.
Mm-hmm. So what does it take for a company to make the cell-based architecture a reality?
Yeah, so the two approaches actually. So we are working on a framework that you can build a number of reference implementation from the cell-based architecture. But having said that, you don't need to wait for that framework. We can script it using infrastructure as a code technique like Puppet, Shape, or whatever that we use, and then based on the target infrastructure layer, you can implement the cell-based architecture. And we are here to help as well as a consultant, so we can provide help for the enterprises to build cell-based architecture.
That's great. Well, thanks for your time today.
Thanks.